in any event, we are here today to speak to you about the ascension, about our own evolution, about how we can consciously participate in our evolution, how we can consciously take our own DNA and recreate ourselves and the speakers. I'm not moving forward. How we can consciously recreate ourselves into what we truly wish and desire to be and what we truly desire to have in our world. If you've noticed, our world is a little bit crazy, a little bit whacked out. I've never understood our world. I'm very similar to Carol. It was really funny. I really connected with her because she sees a lot about what I hear. I don't see as much as I hear, but from a very small, from being a very small child, I've always heard thoughts. So when people used to speak to me, I could see their words, but I could hear their voice inside my head, and it was not often the same. So it was very difficult to lie to me. And as I became a very odd child as well, so welcome to the odd child syndrome. I met Bob, who is probably twice as talented as I ever thought I was, about 6 years ago. And I met Bob through my dreams. I've had a dream for over 35 years, and that's in the next book, that's not in this one, of this group of kids. And 6 years ago, Bob walks into my world, and he comes up to me and he goes, "I know you. I've dreamed about you." And since then, I've met about 12 more of them that have been in this dream, and they're all in their 20s, and they've come down to the ranch, and we do a lot of really tremendous work together. But Bob and I started teaching about 6 years ago, and we are going to be speaking today on evolution and the awakening of your creation. What have you created? What is your world like for you today? What have you created in your world? And we're going to start off with patterns, observing patterns within creation.
Oh.
I will attempt to bring my energy back in a bit.
I'll raise up very slowly here. My name is Bob Macko. I've been teaching metaphysics for the last 7, 8 years or so, teamed up with Jules. And it's been one roller coaster since, to say the least. Basically, everything that Jules was just talking about will be expressing our views to you. If there's things that you gravitate towards which make you feel yes inside, I invite you to incorporate that into your life. However, if there's also something else that we say which you really don't have a good reaction to, forget about it. So, without further ado, I'm going to do a little more wrap up of kind of what we were saying here. We'll be expressing steps that we've gone through with our personal evolution. In doing so, we feel it's rather important to share it as well. It might help some of you as well. So we're going over first our perceptions and observations with our environment, what you see, what you take in. Then we'll talk about how you change your perceptions, then how to mold, change, and manifest a new environment, a new self, and then how we can further examine who we are by our changing DNA and more about frequencies, tones, and vibrations. How does that sound?
Yeah, we like that. Let's talk about patterns. How many of you have been seeing patterns in your own lives? Things that you do or things that just happen to you on a day-to-day basis, and you get the spiritual 2x4 like on a weekly basis. Oh, okay. Just me. Okay. I'm a stubborn one. So they say. Patterns, there's patterns in everything. When you look at what happens to you in your life, you will find that there is a pattern in it. For example, I've broken my back in my life 3 times. Never once did it dawn on me that life was trying to tell me something. My physical body was telling me, Jules, slow down. I'm a triple Aries. I do everything at the speed of light. I rarely slow down for anyone, and then I hit the wall and fall down for a month. All right? My world was telling me, and it's all in this book, that I just wrote, Awakening to Your Creation. What have you created in your life? So if you're seeing yourself with patterns that are happening on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis, if you break your back once every 3 years like myself, then you're going to be wondering what on earth is happening to you. The first thing is recognizing that there's a pattern going on. The first thing is recognizing there's something out of balance. The second thing you need to do is start looking at what body changes perhaps are going on with you. We're going to do the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual of the entire perceptual view you have of your world. The physical changes. How many of you have been going through body, like cramps, heart pains, chest pains, congestion? Anybody going through all of that stuff? It's been going through a lot lately. What my guides have told me, there was a galactic breath of God, for lack of a better term, that came blowing through our solar system. The quantum physicists say that our planet is moving through the photon belt. The woo-woo people say that our planet is moving through the galactic plane from one magnetic vibration to a higher or different magnetic vibration. All three of them are saying the same thing in words they understand. Does that make sense? So what we're looking at is an intense, very short-lived vibrational change. Your bodies, as you go through this vibrational change, are going to do the same thing. If you've got an issue, get a tissue, as my kids would say. But anyway, if you've got an issue, you may find it stored in a particular area of your body. Is there an area that's aching? Knees, joints, legs, whatever. All right? As these waves, and it's like a galactic tsunami. The big one comes in, knocks us for a loop, which it did last year, and then we get these little, tsunamis following it. And what the guides told me was, it's kind of rather like we're sitting in this ocean of three-dimensional reality on our little surfboards, and it's getting a little bumpy, and the first wave of us take that first ride into the shores of fifth-dimensional consciousness. Those are the ones that have, I call the guts to get up and make a change. You wouldn't be sitting here if you weren't one of them.
Right. And truly, it is all about patterns. Everything that Jules just said is about repetition. Truly, the only way that we understand something, grow into it, evolve into it, is by doing it over and over again. And that's what we're doing right here. These are the body changes. Noticing, oh, wait a minute, how come I always get a backache when I have a fight with my boss? They're little clues and reminders to help us realize that there truly is something special going on here. A huge connection to our environment and ourselves. Now, with the body changes, we always have an emotional response to it as well. Like I said before, you have a fight with your boss, and then suddenly your lower back is hurting. That brings us into emotional swings. How do you emotionally respond to what your body is saying? And again, the repetition of it. How often do we swing back and forth on this huge pendulum of anger and joy? How many of you in the last couple weeks find yourself hitting that polarity, going back and forth all within a single day? Anger, joy.
Extreme emotions. I mean, maybe not in a day, but like in a week. You hit the anger thing and then you hit the joy thing, or vice versa, anger, joy.
The reason why we're going through these huge swings is because some of us, we haven't really grasped what that emotion is trying to teach us yet. Kind of like everything else, when you're taking a test, it will present itself in whatever way possible. But if you don't even notice the test is on the table in front of you, you're going to walk around, doing your own thing, but you keep forgetting that it's still waiting for you. So if you keep brushing it off, those reminders will be louder and louder until you eventually turn and take that test.
And as you're sitting in that emotional ocean on your surfboard waiting to take your particular tsunami into fifth dimensional consciousness, those waves are going to start getting bigger and more intense. The less you deal with your stuff, the stuff that's attached to you, your issues, that which keeps you from being in balance, that which keeps you from realizing where you need to go, the more that stuff's going to start sticking. And the rougher those seas are going to be, and the ascension process may be a little bumpy for you. All right? For those who are really willing to work on their stuff and say, you know what, this is me. I own it. The ride might be a little bit easier. You never know. But for me, I'm kind of a coward. I'm going to take the easy way out. I'm going to let go of my stuff. I'm not really into bumpy rides. Now I do like roller coaster. I mean, I do like this ride. We wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here if you weren't a master.
Right.
If you got it. Ooh, yes, sir. Love that. Love that enthusiasm. You would not be here if you were not a master on this planet. There were 10 trillion people, souls, entities that showed up wanting a ticket to incarnate on this planet right now to witness the greatest event in all the known universes, an entire conscious ascension of a planet with all sentient life on it, living instead of getting wiped out. So you're a master if you're here. We just tend to forget for a bit why we're here. And we get stuck in the emotional consequences of our choices. And it's all about choice. Everything you do in your life is about choice. You create your reality. Your evolution is based on your choices. Your tomorrows are going to be based on what you choose today. So if you're in an emotional anger and you can't let go of your boss being an annoyance, what's tomorrow going to happen? You're going to have an annoying boss and you're going to be in the same job until you get it, you know? This is me. I'm making the choice. Make a change. My sister did the same thing. She was in a bank job. She had worked there for 25 years. She had the boss from hell. I mean, God, I heard the horror stories, and bless her heart. And I just said, Lise, it's your choice. Choose something different. Mm-hmm. Choose again.
Right. And what about those who really don't connect on the emotional level first? Well, truly, because we are different people, we all perceive and observe things in much different ways. Some of us would connect first on the physical level. Some would connect more on the emotional level first. However, there's also some people out there which see things in ratios, in numbers, in ones and zeros, binary, math. Well, this is from the mental aspect.
PMH? She's so mental. No, I know. It's just you're so smart, though. That's you, the mental part. I just want to pick your brain. You're so smart.
The mental aspect, it's really a truly amazing thing. Mm-hmm. Those who connect and observe from the mental aspect of the universe, they see things in geometric patterns. They look down, they see this carpet as a spread out fractal before them. They see occurrences in their lives driving through the drive-up teller at the bank office. They see the equations in that. That's
I'm not
true.
one of those people.
And learning from these different patterns, it helps us, again, witness what it's like to be here as a sentient being. And also, from these mathematical equations, it helps us realize the connection to our environment even further. One example of which is that the magnetic field that is produced by a human body is the same identical field which is outputted from a neutron star, billions of times larger than what we are. I see some of you have heard about that.
I like my example better. I was doing a process with a guy, and and I was looking at his hair because I was up above his head, and his hair was real short. And I go, oh my God, your hair is cut in the Fibonacci sequence. Probably didn't get a lot of brownie points for it, but it was just something I noticed. Wow, patterns are in everything. The more you open your awareness, I know, okay, so I'm a little bit off, but the more you open your awareness to all of this stuff, the more information is going to start coming in. The more you become aware of the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects, you're going to start asking yourself deeper thoughts. I love deep thoughts because it reminds me of the Saturday Night Live Mike Myers thing, deep thoughts. And I really did like that because, you know, truthfully, amongst all of the humor, there was a lot of deep thoughts he had in there that I thought were pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But once you start opening yourself to the reality that there's something you may not know out there, then you really start getting it. Then information starts coming in, and then you finally realize, you know, maybe there is something better. Maybe I can do something to change my world. Maybe I can do something that's going to make a difference and make me, or put me, in a place where I want to be, the Eden I want to live in. Because I don't want to live in the Mideast right now. I see what's happening over there, and I don't really want to be there. That's not my world. That's not where I live. I'm a peace lover. I've got a huge heart, and it physically pains me to see someone in pain. That's why I have a healing practice. But once you open yourself and you start observing the patterns, and we start evolving, then we start thinking thoughts about what God truly is. And so I started asking questions a long time ago. What is God, and what in the world does that have to do with me? That is so far removed from who I am that it didn't really make a lot of sense. Well, when I was 21, I literally had an angel show up in my living room. I had just gotten through a disastrous marriage, and it was a catalyst for me, without going into the bodily damage. It took me 1.5 years to get over it, but I was sitting in the living room asking for the meaning of life. And very clearly I heard in my head, haven't you heard? Life's a mystery. I'm like, excuse me?
I really wouldn't be satisfied with an answer like that.
And I wasn't. And so I had questions, a lot of questions. And so I turned around, and there's this magnificent being standing there. And he gave me his name. And it was a vibration. It wasn't a name like Joe or Jane or anything like that. It was something so beautiful. It sounded like a musical symphony. It sounded like a, oh gosh, I don't even have words. I mean, I honest to God do not have words. It made me laugh and cry at the same time.
Celestial song of creation.
I beg your pardon?
Celestial song of creation.
Well, okay, yeah, that's cool. That'll work. I had no words. I know it made me feel hot and cold at the same time. So, but more than that, I had questions, and I was going to ask them. So I asked, what is God, and how come we can't know the name of God? How many of you guys have ever wondered that? You know, you hear it in the Bible all the time. You cannot know the name of God. How many of you guys have ever wondered why not? I did. This is my second question. I asked what the meaning of life was, and anyway. And so he told me, or I called him Kevin because I couldn't pronounce whatever he was that he said. And he told me that just as a drop of water is of the ocean, a drop of water is not the ocean. Just as we are a fragment or a piece of God, we are not God. We are a part of that. We cannot hold all of the vibration of what God is. And to put it in even clearer terms, it's kind of like taking an ice cube and throwing it into boiling water, us being the ice cube, the boiling water being a higher vibration. You have to work your way up slowly, surely, through the ladder of evolution in order to get to wherever it is that you want to go. Life is not a destination. It is a journey. Enjoy the ride. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a wild ride coming up. It's going to be a fun one, but it's going to be wild. So, having said that, moving right, I digress a lot. I'm the queen of tangents.
So those are the basic observable patterns from our senses. We've gone over physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So we're sitting here, spiritual beings, finally awakening, observing these things in our lives. Now what? Well, now that we have a small grasp on what it is we are perceiving, we could actually start to integrate and change things about ourselves. And this is basically altering your perceptions. So, one wonderful small example I have. You've got an ambulance, full sirens blaring, ripping down the street 100 miles an hour. You have 2 kids sitting on the corner. One kid says, "Oh my God, somebody's hurt, oh my God." And the other kid says, "Thank you, somebody is being helped."
Wow, how cool is that?
It's the same exact event, but just looking at it from a different angle. So that's what I invite all of you to do now. The things in your life which currently cause friction, or the person that pushes your buttons, I invite you now to change your perception. And instead of seeing that as a moment of friction, a thorn in my side, now as an opportunity for evolution and growth. If we truly see every single event in that manner, then we're no longer victim to our creation, but we are masters of our ascension.
That's exactly right. When you look at what you perceive to be a negative experience in your life, and you look at it instead as a challenge to be met and mastered, like there's still something out with me, because if you're having an emotional reaction to it, if there's something going on in your life and you perceive it to be negative and you perceive it to be something hurtful to you, take another look and say, it's a challenge. I can do this. I can fix this. I can heal this. I can move this. I had 3 broken backs. I couldn't move. I couldn't get up without falling on my face. I went to the doctor. He said, you have 2 choices. You have surgery or you have pain meds for the rest of your life. I said, I want door number 3. There was no door number 3. So I went back to my guides and I said, I want door number 3. Please tell me there's a door number 3. And they say, you are the creator of your experience. What is it that serves you by having that negative experience of a broken back? How is it serving me? And it was serving me, believe it or not. There was 3 experiences that I had at that time that's in the book that showed me just how that helped me in my world. I was so powerful. I created a broken back to get out of a marriage, to get out of jumping horses, and to get out of gymnastics. I used to be an elite gymnast.
Now that is a long way out of it.
That's a tough road to go. Did I mention I was stubborn? It took me a while, but I got it. At the end, I got it. And so what we started doing was I started integrating new possibilities through the enlightenment of, oh my God, I did this. I created this. That's the first step in responsibility. When you take responsibility for your choices in life, you get a whole new perspective, because then you stop trying to convince the world you are the way you are, because you are the way you are. There's nothing you can do about it. When you start telling yourself, I chose each and every aspect of my life, I chose each and everything that's going to happen to me, and when you really start getting that, all that stuff just falls away. When that stuff falls away, we can start resculpturing our environment. We can start manifesting with creative intention.
Exactly. When we start really embracing the concept that we create our environment, that we truly are the expressions of our expressions and vice versa, that's when, just by the power of thought and intent alone, you will sculpt your environment. When you walk around in your everyday life and say you still had that boss that's always kind of kicking you around, how many of you have gone through a situation where you had somebody bothering you like that and you made the decision, you know what, I'm just going to feel good today instead, and that person just quits or moves?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it works.
That's what I'm talking about. It's manifestation. It's you creating it first, not the other way around.
That's exactly right.
Your environment reflects you, not the other way around. It's because it starts with you and your intention.
An interesting story on that, and this happens to me a lot. Well, it used to happen to me a lot. Now things are a little bit different. But I had a neighbor. I had a dog, a Rottweiler, that was protection trained, and my neighbor used to play bridge. She had a bridge club over every Tuesday, and I was at the law firm, and she came up to me and she goes, Jules, we have a problem. She goes, your dog barks every time I have my bridge club. And I could have said, I could have made the choice, oh, well, he's protection trained, that's his job, barking at you. But I wanted a win. I wanted a win-win situation, because I really, there's a win-win situation in everything. You just got to look for it. Sometimes they're not so easy to see. But if I'm going to manifest the environment I want to live in, which is peace, grace, harmony, love, and joy, I'm going to find a win-win situation. So I said, I tell you what, why don't I introduce him to you? You can become his people too. I love that expression that I heard earlier this morning, his people. And then he will listen to you as well. She goes, really? And I said, really. So I took them over and I invited them in and I introduced them to the dog. The dog took to him just like, because he'd been barking at him forever. He was just trying to introduce himself. And maybe he wanted to play bridge, I don't know. And so in any event, they became best friends. She had her next bridge club. Tiki started barking like he normally did, and she goes, Tiki, shut up. And Tiki goes. They ended up loving this dog, and every evening after that, they started bringing scraps of food over to him. They loved this dog. It was a win-win situation. That's creating joy. That's remanifesting your environment to something that you really do wish to experience. And once you do that, you can resculpt yourself. Once you realize all this stuff, once you start letting go of all the issues that are holding you back, then you can resculpt yourself. As I recall telling you, I used to have 3 broken backs and a couple of bulging discs and all this really nasty stuff from gymnastics and all this other stuff. And I got up one day in the chair and fell flat over and couldn't move.
So when we start really diving into ourselves, examining who we are, what we are capable of, we start finding some incredible things. The next topic is about DNA and light codes. It's about the genetics, your physical blueprint of who you are and what you are capable of. It's about repatterning your DNA. In the same way that we were expressing before about changing your perceptions, your thoughts have a vibration. Your vibration carries with you and alters your physical body. Have anybody heard of Dr. Emoto with his water work? It's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm speaking about now. Is
I got
that
the book. It's in Japanese. Can't read it, but
yeah,
mhm,
right.
water, right?
Basically with that, it was vibrations from thoughts that would create amazing crystalline structures inside ice water. With that same concept, we are restructuring our DNA. Within our genetic code, we have these different segments called light codes, which are very formalized areas within ourselves, which when accessed or when thought about, that simple, these codes start to awaken. Well, what does that mean to you? That
Well, I'll
means
tell you what
that
it means to me. Healed my back.
exactly. When you take this vibration, when you think about all of the amazing changes around you, things inside you, light codes, they unlock. These light codes give you or allow you different gifts within you, such as clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, all of these new age gifts that are being brought out of nowhere.
So how does that relate to us? How did that relate to me? I went to my guides and I asked. I was at the doctor. They gave me those 2 choices. They said, if you do everything that we're going to give you, your back will stop hurting within 4 months. I said, I am all for that. Pain is no fun. But pain is a very great motivator. And the human species, being as stubborn as it is usually does take the spiritual 2x4. So they gave me a series of exercises to do. They gave me a series of things to eat. They gave me a series of stretches to do, this, that, and the other. 4 months to the day, and of course some vibrational healing techniques. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they gave me to do. Believe me, I did it every day. 4 months to the day, my back stopped hurting. I look completely different than I did even 2 short years ago. It was interesting. I just went to a conference where some people had not seen me for about 1.5 years, I think it was, and I must have gotten 20 compliments. They came up, my God, what happened to you? You're like 30 years younger than you were last year. And what happened was, once we started repatterning our DNA, rethinking what it is that we want to create within ourselves, and we let go of all of the stuff that's standing in our way, something unique happens. You start becoming balanced. Your masculine and feminine, your right and your left side, start balancing. And how that happened for me in particular, I felt something coming up my spine one day. And I'd asked the guys, this was after my back actually quit hurting, and this is very recently. And I would imagine it's going to be happening to everyone. I felt something coming up my spine, and it hit my head. And within my head, I could feel something going on. So I asked the guides what was going on, and they said, you are being activated, you are being enlightened, you are becoming balanced. You are becoming a 5th dimensional creature, or beyond, as the case may be. And I asked, well, what does that involve? And what they told me was really interesting. They said something about the pineal gland, the 3 thalamus glands, and the pituitary got activated. When that gets activated, it starts releasing certain substances. that will actually allow your body to start coming into the divine blueprint or the original divine light that you came here with. In other words, you get younger. And I said, yeah, right. But it happened. And I'm blown away, and my husband's really blown away. He's like, damn, dude, I don't know what you're doing, but go for it. He goes, I like it a lot. And, but it's more than that. Because you can feel it happening. You can feel your glands just changing. You can feel this stuff just start working through your body. And I don't have any joint pain anymore. I'm a grandmother of 4, and I don't have any weight issues. Food's not a problem anymore. I really don't have a whole lot. I really don't eat a lot anymore. It just doesn't appeal to me. But I do have a lot of energy coming in, and I can feel it. It's different. So I asked the guides what was going on. And what they said was they took the original blueprint of your own DNA and placed it over the illusion that you have created about yourselves. All the reasons we tell ourselves why we are the way we are. Okay? Now, once you stop telling yourselves why you are the way you are, you then allow an opening for a new energy to start coming through. This new energy from galactic source that we talked about. That will come in and completely repattern your entire self if you allow it.
Right.
Allowance.
And that energy coming in is what I was speaking about earlier with these light codes. Have any of you heard of the Human Genome Mapping Project? That's basically what we're looking at here with the 2% and the 98%. The 2% is everything that we've actually understood concrete of what the human genome is. The other 98% is still basically unaccounted for and also represents the potentials in us. The clairaudience, the clairvoyance, clairsentience.
And a bazillion other things. Those are just the only 3 we could fit on the page.
And also, when we practice a little bit more, instant manifestation, bilocation, and multidimensionality.
How many of you guys have been manifesting instantly lately? Just thinking a thought and bam, there it is. I know Julia has. It's really funny. Julia and I had a conversation, and my guides came in and they said, you're going to do something really extraordinary. And it had, I can't remember what was it. I can't even remember what it was now, but it was something. And Julia called like two minutes later and said the exact same thing to me. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, I get it. Instant manifestation, think it and it is done in this time period. That's why it's so very important to guard what we're thinking and to understand why we are thinking what it is that we're thinking. Why are we in judgment? Why are we thinking the way we're thinking? Why do we not have Eden on earth right now? Enough of us want it, right? How many of you guys out there want Eden on earth? I'm putting 2 hands up. Why don't we have it? Is there war in your world? Is there war in your heart? When you go at home, do you yell at your husband? You yell at the dog. Does the dog kick the cat?
Does the dog kick the cat?
You go home, your husband kicks you, you kick the dog, and the dog kicks the cat, right? Well, not in my world, my cats kick my dog, but anyway, that's another story. But why don't we have Eden? Why don't we have enough people on this planet that want to flip? Well, here's an interesting little factola. For those of you who keep up with the Schumann resonance, it went to 0 on Thursday, the 7th, or 9th. I can't remember, it was either the 7th or the 9th. Last week, 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago.
Would you like to explain what the Schumann resonance is?
The Schumann resonance, by the way, is the frequency of Mother Earth. Traditionally, it runs about 7.6, 7.8. Lately, those of you who are familiar with Greg Braden's work, my God, he's done an amazing amount of work on that, said that it's slowly raising, and I think it's like at 12 or something.
13.
Yeah, 13. Oh, it is 13. Well, Thursday, I get an email from a friend, goes, oh, Jules, you're not going to believe this one. It plummeted to 0 on Thursday. That should be physically impossible. Thursday the 7th or 8th, whenever that was, or 7th, 8th, 9th, I don't know. Numbers don't work with me too well. And that just blew me away. I'm sitting here going, holy moly. What that tells me is that we had the potential, and there were some really extraordinary things happening that week. But what that tells me is we might have hit the reset button. Did I just say done hit? God, I'm so Texan.
That's okay, we forgive you.
That's a Texas thing there. Kind of like hotter than snot. But anyway, so What that means to me, the magnetic resonance, you know, we all talk about the shift. We all talk about, you know, we're shifting, we're moving, we're evolving, we're ascending. And if the Earth hits 0 from 13, what does that tell me? That tells me something flipped, something moved, something changed. I beg your pardon?
Spiritual flipping of the energy.
Nah, that's my thinking, because it has to happen in the spiritual before it hits the physical, right? So I'm thinking that it's starting to move. Now, 2012 is the traditional, you know, we're going to hit that and everything's going to go crazy. I don't necessarily believe that. I think everything works in a bell curve, and I think we have, you know, time before and time after before that happens. But I do think that's a pivotal point, and I think we're right at the point of creation where we actually do have the ability to create Eden right now, if we so choose, if we let go of the war in our hearts.
So what does that mean to you all?
Peace of a
Basically,
lifetime.
everything that Jules was just talking about right there about creating Eden, well, of course, we would like some sort of how-to guide for that, right? One way to explain how to instantly manifest things within your life and your environment revolves around the geometry of portals. Who all knows or has some experience of what a portal is? Okay. A portal is basically an energetic opening which allows thoughts, energy, and processes to move through it. In other words, when you set intent, energy comes through you to create something. It's a portal.
Just like your consciousness comes through your entire body system. Every single cell in your body has what's called little gateways, little octahedral gateways.
Right.
Okay, it's the smallest part of a human where consciousness actually becomes manifest.
I'll take this spot.
Oh, sorry.
What Jules was saying before also about the masculine and feminine becoming balanced, that's what these represent. Each triangle, that would represent masculine, and the one underneath it, feminine. When they combine, they create this geometry right here of the two intersecting triangles, or the Star of David.
Which is what I call a gateway.
Imagine,
Gateway.
exactly.
That's exactly right.
There's a lot of geometry which is created from this. But it's not just the geometry, it's what it allows you to focus on. This geometry right here, or in other words, when you balance your masculine and feminine, you become more at peace and centered within yourself. That's the emotional and physical response. When you're in that space within yourself, you have free access to knowledge, information, and all that is.
And that's the only way you get through that gateway,
Right.
finding that balance, because you cannot do it unbalanced.
Now, does everybody have a good grasp of kind of what that felt like, what I just explained? Now, take that and times it by 12. That's that right there. It's about experiencing 12 dimensions at the same time, where every single dimension is a new, complete possibility. It's another parallel existence running right through us, right with us. Kind of like every single choice that you have the possibility of making, you know, one of you that did come to this conference, one of you that did not and decided to randomly take a road trip to California, all of those are playing out right now, all these different possible lives, side by side, right with you right now. When we center ourselves, we find that we actually have access to all the information that your other selves are collecting right now. Have any of you ever had this momentary flash where you knew you were in a different place, but it couldn't really explain it?
Deja vu. Deja vu is really interesting because I just used that example the other day. To me, it's about aspects. My guides came in and they told me there is no such thing as past, present, and future, to which I replied, huh? This was way back in the day. And I didn't understand the ever spacious present. Gives us the illusion of linear time, but there really is no such thing as linear time. If you think about the past, you can't be there. If you think about the future, it hadn't happened yet. You can only effectively create in the here and now. This is the only time your consciousness can actually create, and this is the only dimension in which it can create. You can't do it anywhere else but here. And what I find really intriguing about this, they gave me this information last year, and I had Bob draw it because he's such a fabulous artist, and I can't draw a stick figure. And so this is what it came out looking like. And Bob started doing some research on it, and come to find out it was actually the same exact geometry as the Pyramid of Khufu. And which kind of blew me away because I don't know anything about geometry, and math is above my head. But they're having me learn quantum physics now, and they gave me some little light reading material on dark matter of the universe, which is so far over my head, and I'm sitting here going, I beg your pardon?
Anti-gravity.
Anti-gravity, that's exactly right. Well, here's the interesting thing about that. Because it is the spacious present, not only can you access, when you upgrade your awareness, that's what they call it with me, upgrading my awareness. It's not like you're already there anyway. You're not already there anyway. You are. You already are all of these things anyway. There's 6.75 billion of you on this planet, but there's only one aspect on this planet. 6.5 billion different manifestations of that one, but there's only one of us down here. Make sense? Now then, when you become aware of this, when you upgrade your awareness, you actually can have the awareness of one of these other aspects as if it happened to you. And let me tell you, when that happens to you, it is really weird. I was walking along, and all of a sudden I had this huge experience hit. It was where I was not married. I didn't recognize my husband because as I was integrating all of this, it was as though I wasn't married. And I looked at Jim and I said, "Who are you, and why are you in my house?" And he just kind of does one of these and just walks off. He's kind of used to my wackiness. But it really is that pronounced. When you actually become aware of all of these aspects, these 12 different aspects, it gets weird. And what's even better than that is the scientists have come up with this really cool thing. They strap this marathon runner into a chair with all these electrodes, and they asked him to mentally run a marathon race in his head. And he did. And the electrodes showed that he'd actually run an entire marathon, which is my way of exercising. I like it like that. I will dream it into being.
The more important thing to realize about that current example, when you have thoughts, when you think, and when you feel, the mind cannot discern the difference of you actually physically acting out that action. Meaning that marathon runner sitting in the chair, running the entire marathon, start to finish, his brain signals, waves, thoughts, and ideas were identical to when he actually ran the race the next day. So what does that mean to you? That means that your mind, your spirit, is controlling everything. Your thoughts and vibrations sculpt the very ground you're walking on. Your imagination, the possibilities that you think of, everything is being expounded. It's being displayed on this humongous grid, which we call existence.
It does, in a very real way. Now, change your thoughts, you change your existence. What we're trying to do is change the world's thoughts. Because you're here, you're the leaders in this thought-changing process. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. How do we create Eden? We create Eden in your own heart. When you change what happens in here, you're going to change everything that happens out here. It's the law of mirrors. And according to the guides, can't be contravened, period. Period. Ever. If you think it in here, you're going to see it out here. So if there's something in your world that's not working for you, just go look in the mirror and say, okay, what did I do this time? Which is pretty much what I'm doing now. What's really weird with this, when this integration starts happening to you, and it will, some very odd occurrences begin to happen. I was in the bathtub one day and my cat came up, and as I was looking, I'm continually having strange experiences. And I'm not really sure why. I never did drugs. Well, at least I never exhaled, but. One of the things, I was sitting in my bathtub one day, and I looked up to my cat, and my cat, I could see straight through him. But I looked in the mirror behind him, and there was a full vision of a cat behind him. And it really, they were actually trying to teach me about the impermanence of this world and the impermanence of illusion. So some of these things may start happening to you. I actually met myself, something that looked very similar to me, coming out of a bedroom one day. That was weird. Some of the other experiences you may have are remembering things that didn't actually happen to you. I have a lot of those. But they are memories. I'm telling you, they are memories. I know somewhere I've done them.
It's also called universal knowledge.
Universal knowledge. When you access universal knowledge, and this is my fun part because I love asking questions, and my guides, I'm sure, just are so tired of me asking questions, but I wanted to know everything. And of course you can't, but still, I can ask as many as I like. And universal knowledge, to me, is the awareness that you are connected to each and every other soul on this planet. When this integration happens, when this ascension happens, what that tells me is that I'm no different than you. You're the same as I am. You're just me in a different dress today, okay? And our flesh is nothing more than what we perceive it to be. If you changed your opinion about you, which I did about me, because I took responsibility for why I was the way I was. I said, you know, I don't want to be this way anymore. I want to be this way. And the universe, all it knows how to say is, so be it. That's it. That's the only thing the universe knows how to say. So be it. Yeah. I changed and became aware of universal knowledge. What's really interesting, I'm going to say this one more thing and let you finish, but one of the more interesting aspects of universal knowledge, I've had a dream, I think I mentioned earlier, for 35 years about a classroom of kids. And in that dream, Bob recognized me in our dream state before we even knew each other on the physical plane. And I've never heard of this before, but apparently it is common. I don't know if it is or not. But I've met 9 of these kids. And we all know each other. We remember past lives or future lives or parallel lives, however you want to pronounce it. Words are really immaterial in this realm. I'm having to find new words to explain some of the experiences that I've had. Bob and I can consciously link our minds together and go travel to fun inner places or outer places. I mean, at first I thought it was outer, you thought it was inner, because I'm all about out here and you're all about in here. And so it was really funny, but we started really kind of looking at it, and then we started mapping out the frequencies of what we saw, and it looked exactly like our DNA. It looked exactly like our 12-strand DNA. The places we visited, as we mapped them out, because we have these little star maps that we make, and it looked identical to our DNA. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, if it's not out there, if it's truly in here, am I visiting my own DNA? How weird is that? But hang on just a sec. Your DNA is every single thing that you have ever experienced since the beginning of anything. Your DNA holds everything. And if you don't believe me, go visit your own DNA. It's weird. It's a whole weird world. But if that's the case, then you truly have experienced everything. Every dimension, every person, every aspect, it's all in there somewhere. And I asked my guide, what is the meaning of life? Do you know what he said? It's for the knowing. That's it. I was so excited thinking, I'm going to get the secrets of the universe, you know. I'm going to be this like little Merlin magician thing and I can zap people. Didn't happen that way. I wish it did, but it didn't. And he said it's for the knowing. We come down to experience things on this level, on this plane, that can't be experienced anywhere else. This is it. Yeah, I love you. I'm going to take you home with me. And there's room on the plane. There's just not room in PH's plane. She only had one seat. But what that tells me is that we are so much more connected than we ever thought we were. And Bob and I really had a fabulous experience on the limo drive. Of course, Mercury's in retrograde, so our limo got stuck on the side of the road, and we're sitting in Chicago traffic on the side of the road on an expressway, which is freaky enough as it is. And the woman, and because we're connected, you know, I just started beaming joy because this lady was kind of freaking out. There was another couple with us, and I just started beaming at her, you know, peace, love, joy, just, you know, be in your space. And she looks at her husband about 10 minutes later. She goes, I don't know what's going on here. She goes, I should be freaking out, but I feel very calm. She goes, I don't understand this. This is weird. And I'm thinking, well, enjoy it. I mean, you know, do it. So what that tells me is we do have the ability to create in our environment whatever it is that we're feeling.
Right. I get to talk. It's all about vibrations. What Jules was saying there about expressing yourself, your intent, it changes your environment. Have any of you ever heard about cymatics? Cymatics is the study of wave phenomena in a medium, either sand, salt, or what have you. In this experiment, a speaker is being attached to a flat metal plate and salt is being sprinkled on the top, while a vibration is being slowly raised, being pumped through the speaker. This experiment symbolizes almost everything that we just talked about. How a thought or frequency changes your environment, your insides, and everything that is.
This is the coolest video I've ever seen. Has any of you seen this video? You have? Yeah. Is this amazing or what? But this to me is really what ascension is all about. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the frequencies. What's really funny is Bob and I, through the years, have drawn a lot of these patterns before we even saw this. I beg your pardon? I don't know where we acquired this. Bob got this. He's the internet guru. This is simply, no, this is nobody speaking. This is just a vibration that's raising an ascendance. Crop circles. My favorite subject. I like crop circles. And notice that it's instantaneous. I mean, it doesn't happen over long periods. I mean, once it hits that, well, it's interesting. One of the things that I've come to the conclusion watching this, because it's instantaneous, to me it's like the 100th monkey syndrome. It's like once it reaches that final and then it just flips. I think that's what's going to happen on the planet very, very soon, if not already. If not, we're in the process of doing it. I think it's going to happen very soon. Beg your pardon? Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But I think the actual flip's going to happen a lot sooner than what people think.
So
work
what did
field.
everybody think about with this? What did it make you feel?
All I had to do geometry for the calculus of the universe. I know.
There you go. Right. Well said. I know. Yes, ma'am.
I think that Pluto went across the galactic center. We're here Thursday.
Thursday? Oh, no kidding. I would love to have that information.
Between us and the galactic center, which would be an obvious
That would make sense.
to draw.
That would actually make a lot of sense, yeah. Because I think, I'm not so sure.
It's going to be doing it.
Yeah, for a while, yeah. No, it's not.
Started in 2006. It will not end until about
2017.
December 2008.
Uh-huh.
So all kinds of sudden, unusual occurrences are happening to all. So I warn everybody to be prepared.
Be prepared. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
It's not negative. It's just sudden shifts.
That's exactly right.
And it's one right after another.
That's what I'm hearing exactly. That's what my guys are telling me. Absolutely exactly.
The ages. Oh, I'm sorry.
Shift of the ages. It's going to be spectacular. I'm ready for the ride.
Yes, we're in the times of change, the great shifting. And I give a lot of workshops on this, and hopefully soon I'll have a DVD on my website that you can get that's was filmed at one of the talks I gave because I don't want to write another book. It takes too long to get the books out.
Yeah, that's right. It's
So I'm
exactly
going,
right.
try to go the way of a DVD.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk of the ages and in the human family. You'll get a little bit of the human family one tomorrow.
Oh, good. Good, good, good.
But what I want people to at least be prepared for and know about and comfortable with, at least within reason, is this Pluto going back and forth over the galactic center. It began in 2006, doesn't end in until the end of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
It peaks, though. The most intense part of the peaking is this year.
Summer. Yeah, it's this summer.
Right.
August, actually.
Right. It's this
August,
summer
September-ish.
and also September.
Mm-hmm. August, September.
So these are real critical times. Then we have a final kick in the seat of the pants, if you wish, the month after the political elections for president next year.
Yeah.
So it's not going to matter who wins. Whether it's a Democrat or Republican, it's not going to make one bit of
I
difference.
don't think so either. Yeah, my guides have been talking
They're
to
all
me
going to
about
be
that.
facing the same thing a month after the election.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah.
It's going to be a wild ride. I mean, I'm telling you, if half of what my guides tell me is coming down the pike, comes down the pike, it's going to be fun. It's going to be weird, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And if you go into it with you know, I love what you just said too, because if you go into it with the joy and the love and the wonder of a child, you know, I keep telling everybody, I still haven't found my inner adult yet, and I'm looking for it, but ask anybody that knows me, I will never find it. But I love life, and I love the joy and the exuberance that kids have about, they don't give a poop about what's going to happen tomorrow. They just want to know what's going to happen right now.
Yeah.
And that's the way you need to go into this shift, with love and joy in your heart, and just knowing you can do it. You know, just be the change you want to see in the world.
If it's not there, you won't switch.
I beg your pardon?
If it's not there, you will not switch.
That's true. That's absolutely true. That's exactly true. Are we out of time?
Yeah.
Oh, darn. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have anything they want to just say? Yeah, wow, yeah, way wow. It's good. Yes, ma'am.
Someone mentioned real quick about the crop circles, and we live in just a little bit east of St. Louis, Missouri, and we live on a 130-acre farm, which we've dedicated to God and for the planet. But what's interesting is when I did that, shortly after that, we had 12 crop circles appear on the land. 12, and the diameter was about 67 feet in diameter, and they're all specifically placed, you know, close to each other, but not, you know, in any specific pattern. Just north in Illinois, the same patterns appeared shortly after that. But since then, we've been hearing this music, celestial music, and I keep getting these fragrances of flowers. You know, when windows are closed, which is my healing abilities, my psychic abilities have improved, amazing, and just some really good things with the business.
That's awesome.
Things are really happening, so
That's exactly
I wondered
right.
what connection that is with, you know, and how we can
That's
just,
that's exactly right.
you know, that's what I felt, and we felt going through a portal.
Yeah, the smells to me are guides. Every time one of my guides comes in, they just smell wonderful. I just want the cologne. It's like, just make me the cologne. They're just wonderful. The crop circles, our space, the skies are filled. If you could see through your third eye what I could see up there, they're standing room only. I mean, we have got more people hanging around this planet and beings and stuff than you can possibly imagine. This is the biggest ride in the universe. I mean, all the universes. I mean, this is it right here. And you got a ticket. We're like the Disney World of the universe, yeah. Yeah.
Book and CDs.
Okay, we're the fun park.
Book and CDs.
Do it.
Okay, we are pretty much out of time, but we would also like to pretty much thank you all for being here. In whatever way you ended up here, I truly want to thank you. And also, if you like, Jules came out with a book, Awakening to Your Creation, which is on display right here.
Everything that we've talked about is in here. It's not only my story about how I did all of this and all of that, but it's a lot of what the guides have told me you can expect. So a lot of that information is in here if you'd like to see it.
And also, I have 3 of my meditation CDs, which I also brought with me, which are also on display. They have a lot of amazing frequencies.
Yeah, he knows
Kind of hard to talk.
those full frequencies.
And some of which have also been matched to some healing tuning forks out there. Some amazing stuff. Great, no vocals, and just amazing to relax to at the end of the day. So if you like it, check us out. We're at the booth right over there. And that's about it.
Do you have any questions?